All right, so let's get started. So this is a 12-inch pine board. I have it set on some little medicine cups, just so that I can get underneath it and grab it. Pine boards are purchased online, and I get them for somewhere around $5 each. The pigments that I'm going to use today are made by Resin. These are really nice pigments. Pretty much the ones that I use all the time. The white, however, is made by Cast & Craft, and it's an opaque pigment. You can get this on eBay or on Amazon. I'm going to mix up the pigments in these small cups. This is only going to take about 6 ounces, but I'm gonna probably have a little, do a little extra just in case. So you don't need a whole lot of pigment to do these. So this color here is cinnamon spice. You take about this much onto the stick and put it in the cup. So I'm going to do that with all of these. And I'll keep the stick aside because I'm going to have to use it for mixing. This color is called silver gray. Again, you don't need a whole lot of pigment. This color is gypsy red, about that much. I've got black pearl with a red and black and gray theme here today. A little bit of black pearl in there. Set that aside. This here is silver night. This will give it a nice shine. It's a beautiful color. Got a lot of sparkle to it. And then I'm going to use some white. I'm going to put a little bit of white in this cup. Okay. So you always want to make sure that you get your colors ready, because once you start with your pigment, once you start with your resin, you only have 45 minutes to work it. So you want to make sure that you haven't mixed up your resin prior to picking your colors. The one thing that I use here is a product called EX74. Let's see if I can get that. I know it's backwards for you, but it's EX74. This is a very good resin. I use it exclusively, and it's not very expensive. So there's 2 parts to that resin, and it's 50-50. I also want to make sure that I tell everybody, this is the mask that I usually wear. I'm not going to wear it today because then I just probably sound like Darth Vader in this video. But you should have this type of a mask if you're going to be using resin and pigments especially. So you can imagine pigments go into the air. It's probably not a great thing to breathe into your lungs. And these masks come in very handy. So it might be a little tough getting one of these now because I think they're in pretty high demand since COVID-19. But this is the type of mask you would like to you should be wearing when you mix resin. Okay, set that aside for now. So here's the resin. One part is hardener, one part is resin. The white part is the resin. When you pour this, you always want to make sure that you put the right cap on the right bottle after you're done. Otherwise, it'll get stuck to the bottle and you probably won't get it off. So I'm going to go ahead and mix the resin. 2-part resin again. So I'm going to put this here so you guys can see. Let me get these off here really quick. And it's 50-50. So I'm going to put 4 ounces of the resin and then 4 ounces of the hardener. So in it goes to the cup. You might want to make sure that you're on a level surface. I haven't really checked today, but this table has proven to be pretty level for me. So there's that. Let me get the resin or the hardener. I guess I've got about 5, so I need to go to 10. So let's see here. There we go. That's 10. Okay, so you're going to take a big stick and you're going to mix this up. And you're going to make sure it's well mixed. Usually around 3 minutes to mix the resin. It's very important that you scrape the sides and everything gets incorporated. If you don't, you'll find out that you have some spots that may not harden well enough. So keep mixing this and making sure you scrape the bottom and get it all incorporated. You'll notice that some bubbles will pop up, but don't worry about those because when you heat it up to pop, it'll pop those bubbles, and I'll show you how you do that in just a second. So unfortunately, this part's a little boring, but necessary. Let me stand up here so I can see what I'm doing. All right, you can see there's bubbles, but it will start to clear when it's pretty mixed up. So keep on here. There's one more step in mixing, and I always like to put it into a second cup just so that I make sure that everything's incorporated. You notice I have gloves on as well. You don't really want to get this on your skin. So that probably hasn't been 3 minutes, but that's what you want to achieve is 3 minutes. This isn't a very large amount, so we might be able to get away with going a little shorter time. So I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to pour this into another cup. Now I use these cups from the dollar store. They come very handy. They're only $1, and you can reuse these. And what you will do is after you're done pouring, you'll take a gloved hand and you'll go on the inside of this cup and you'll smear everything that's left in the cup, because there still will be some left in the cup, all over the inside of the cup. The next day, all you have to do is bend the cup a few times and that entire piece of resin will come right out of the cup. And then it'll be perfectly smooth and clean on the inside to be used again. I have a whole stack of these that I use over and over and over again. I don't use the same stick to stir the second cup, the second cup. So I'll put that in the cup and I'll set it aside. Grab another stick and then give it another stir. This will make sure that everything is for sure incorporated. The two parts have married and they're going to harden perfectly. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we'll put our cups back up. Let's get this off here. That's not going to be a big deal. And pour some into each one of the cups. I've covered my table with an actual garbage bag, and that will, it's just a heavy duty garbage bag, and at the end of tomorrow, I'll be able to peel off anything that got onto the garbage bag and actually reuse that as well. I still have some left in the cup, but I may or may not need it. Okay, you're gonna mix these guys up, get them all good and incorporated. You'll see when it starts to come to the top and turn into your colored resin. There's that one. I don't have one for the white. Here's the white. See it coming up. Make sure that you have it completely incorporated. Okay. I believe that's this one. How pretty that is. The Res pigments are available online on a Facebook page. You can look them up, LEREZ, or Laura's Art Corner. She sells them. They originate in Australia, but Laura is the person who sells them here in the United States. Okay. one. That's pretty. Here's some of the silver. You guys can see that, right? Okay. I don't have the proper equipment to do videos, and bear with me, this is my first video. Okay, and now the black. All right. That's all to it. This probably will, most of them require a second coat after they've dried, so you can let them dry for 24 hours and then give them another clear coat. Because sometimes the sides will suck the color in and won't completely cover. All right, so there's my colors. And I'm going to start with this pretty red. I kind of have a thing for lines, so I usually will just try and make mine, they look a little bit like maybe a geode. I got a thing for rocks, so I take this and put it in some lines. Okay, and then I might come in with some gray alongside of those. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough, and if you're going to do this, run your lines straight off the edge of the board. But this should be plenty. If it's not a big deal to mix a little bit more in the same cup that you're using, and get that on the board. These colors are all married together at some point. Here's the black. This is a real pretty shimmery black. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera. There's some black. Oops. That's okay though. Okay. Come in with this pretty bronze color. Maybe add a little bit more of that here. Alright. And now we have this pretty silver. Get a little bit more over here. Run a little bit through the center of this. All right, and let's come in with some white. I don't know what I got right there, a little blue from somewhere, maybe from my cup. That'll be fine. And here, I might do some really thin lines coming through. I like to show that there's a little bit of purpose to where I'm putting it. Side here. Okay. Now, there's a few things that you can do from here. One thing, make sure that your hands are clean before you touch anything else that you don't want resin all over. So I'm going to use a blow dryer. It's really important that you make sure that your hands are fairly clean. Otherwise, the second or third time you try to use your blow dryer, the buttons might not work anymore. Okay, so sorry about the noise, but there's going to be some noise, so you might want to turn the sound down for a minute. Make sure you have to make sure your blow dryer is on the hottest setting. I might gonna take some of this white and just run some lines through to kind of give some definition. This is just what's left in the cup. Here. I'm going to do that with some of the other colors, and I still have a little bit left in the cups. Like I said, I kind of have a thing for lines. So a lot of my artwork has lines in it. And especially in this medium, I just love making things look like stone. And I'll show you a cool trick here in a second to kind of make it look a little bit more like a granite. So there's a little more of that. I really like this red color, but not very much of it came through. So let me throw some red through here. Like that. Do the same with a little bit of black and gray. There's some gray. Okay. A little bit of black running along this here. Okay. Now you want to make sure that your sides are all covered, so anything that ends up on the plastic, you can just take that up and add it to your edge. Make sure that the edges are all covered. And it's okay if it doesn't quite match, but as you go around your piece, you're picking up what's falling off of it. So chances are the colors that you're grabbing are colors that are above it, right? So just go ahead and go all the way around it, making sure that the board is covered all the way around with some color. And it'll continue to flow off the edge for a little while. So you are going to get you're going to get a few areas that have drips. Prior to doing this, I could have taken the board and covered the back, just the edge with some tape, and then pulled the tape off, and the tape would just come off and take the drips off with it. I usually will summon my husband to do some of that work for me, so he'll sand them off. And of course, when sanding, you definitely want to have some protection on your face. So you have to have a mask on when doing that work. You do not want to breathe the dust from this in. So that's really it. Although I have to finish off with popping the bubbles that you can't see. It'll be pretty hard for you guys to see them from there. I'll take this glove off and put a new one on. Gloves might not be the easiest thing to find right now. I did manage to probably get the last box. My last box I got was prior to COVID, and that was at Harbor Freight. They may not have them now, being that there's a shortage of PPE, but that's where I got them. These are actually a little on the tight side. Well, I don't need a glove for this part actually, because I got a clean hand. So here's my torch. It's a big guy. It can be inverted, and that's the reason why I have this one. Because if you have other torches, sometimes if you turn them upside down, they stop working, but this one works that way. I really like what's happening right here. It's getting really pretty right there. But I'm going to go ahead and torch this, and that'll pop all the bubbles. And again, you probably can't see that from there, but all the bubbles that would come to the top will now pop. This also gives a way for, if you can watch, you can see that it will actually change. You don't want to get too close to your piece, or get this too hot. It will damage the resin. So you want to make sure you're staying above in your sweeping motion the entire time, so that you don't concentrate on one spot and get it too hot and wreck your resin. So just a quick over the top, and that's it. The bubbles are all popped, and this is pretty much done. So that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed, and please let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks, everyone.
The Anton Art Center would like to thank the following businesses and organizations for their financial support of Super SatARTday activities. Presenting sponsor, First State Bank. Supporting sponsor, Consumers Energy. The Michigan Humanities Council. The Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. The Kresge Foundation. The Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan, and the National Endowment for the Arts. We would also like to thank our partners, the Discovery Center, the Detroit Institute of Arts, and the Metropolitan Detroit Chorale. Learn more about the Anton Art Center and our partners at www.theartcenter.org and make a donation to support our mission to enrich and inspire people of all ages through the arts.